Aloha and welcome to Psychic Development and Channeling Classes with Liah Howard. This is Class 3. I'm delighted that you are here from all the different places around the world. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for taking this time to be present and to get in touch with your higher self, with your guides, your intuition. Today, our topic for Class 3 is integrating the parts of the self. And through this integration, you will be a much stronger, clearer channel. We'll be looking at some of the fears associated with perhaps getting in the way of using your intuition. And we're going to start with a few questions from the last class. I hope you did some of your homework from the last class. We were talking about listening to your body cues, getting in touch with the way that your body intuition works. We did suggest that book, Body Signals. And so let's just take a look. We're going to be reviewing some tools and homework. We're going to be answering a few questions. We will discuss how to integrate the parts of self, do a guided meditation, and also a group channeling. I had special requests. A number of people emailed me and they said, could you please channel Hoya? Hoya is my council of guides, so I am happy to do that for you. And actually, I love to get messages from them as well. So we are going to be integrating that into the class today. So again, thank you for being here. So here's some questions that I received from students from Class 2. And the first question is, how can I get a clearer sign from my guides? Now remember, we were talking about last time receiving an actual sign that your guides are there and that they want to connect and that you're working as a team. I suggested sometimes it's a feeling in the body, a sensation, a warmth, a cold, like a little brush. Sometimes it's a sound, music. So some people are still having a little difficulty getting a sign. So sometimes it's helpful if you also ask for a sign just in life. I mentioned last time about an owl flying by and seeing that owl and the connection with my channeling teacher, Anne, who's on the other side. So to get that specific sign from your guide, you really have to be like the still, calm, quiet pond. Very still, very quiet. And it's almost the more you anticipate it, the more you get in the way. Your mind gets in the way. So you want to just allow your body, maybe do a complete body relaxation, starting at your head and going all the way to your toes, relaxing your body so that you become an open vehicle and vessel. And then invite your guide, the way that we did last time, up to the ceiling and then right to the edge of your aura. And then ask your guide, right before they enter your entire auric field or your higher self, to give you a sign. And if it's not strong enough, they need to know, because they don't want to bowl you over with their energy. They're vibrating at a very high frequency. You can ask them to increase their frequency, increase the intensity of the sign so that you're actually working in harmony with them. They like to get feedback from you. So for this week, if you haven't gotten a clear sign, I'd like you to work with that at least once a day until you feel that you have a clear sign. Now, it may be very subtle. For some people, it's sort of an energy feeling in their tummy. They feel kind of a fullness. For other people, they feel like a pulsation on the third eye. It's going to be different for you, so let go of your expectations, stay open, keep your faith, keep your trust, and it will happen. So question number 2, the next question I get is, when is the best time to tune into divine guidance? And you know, it's really up to you. I find myself fresher in the morning. I tend to get up very, very early. I like to get up before dawn and meditate, and that's a wonderful time to start my day and checking in. If you happen to be a night owl kind of person, it might be a better time for you at the end of your day to really check in and to really get quiet. Some people even like to take a little lunch break. But what is best is, honestly, if you can set a regular time, because what happens is energetically your guides will know, your higher self will know that during this particular window you are making yourself available. It's like having a lunch date or a morning date or an evening date. You make yourself available, you show up, you bring your body, no matter how tired you are, you bring your consciousness and your mind, and you show up, and then they're already there waiting for you. It's really a good idea to pick a regular time to meditate. Okay, question number 3. What do you feel are the main inhibiting factors blocking a person's natural intuitive and psychic abilities? All right, I'm going to say top of the list is stress. Well, I have drugs and alcohol first, but you know, stress, That's often the reason that people use drugs and alcohol is stress, to get out of that stress. So you really have to monitor your inner stress level. If you're letting externals get to you, if you're getting upset about circumstances and situations that are happening, it brings your stress level high. And if you can imagine yourself as an open vehicle and vessel, and all of a sudden the stress level is going up higher and higher and higher, there's less and less room, less and less space for your divine guidance. It's getting squeezed out. It's just getting squeezed out. So you want to open and allow stress to pass. If you're having difficulty dealing with stress, sometimes you need to make a change. It's usually, if it's not an external change, it's an internal change. So you could meditate, you could put on happy music, you could talk to a friend, you could go for a walk, you could sit in a hot tub. There's many, many things that you can do, and I'm not going to go into in-depth about that, but there are ways to reduce your stress so that your intuitive abilities can increase. Fears. Stress is often related to fears, and fear, as I said last time, is forgetting everything's all right, F-E-A-R. So is there a way that you can change the way that you're looking at what's happening in your life so that it is less negative, so that there might be a soul purpose or lesson involved that you're going to get? So we want to look at our fears. We want to ask for guidance and higher support with our fears so that you're not doing them alone. And then that will alleviate the stress level and you'll be more open. We also want to look at our expectations. Expectations, when we have certain ideas about what we want to happen, what information we want to come through, we put filters up. And those filters actually get in the way of receiving the truest divine guidance. So we have to be willing, when we're asking for guidance, to accept the answers that come. And it may not be exactly what you were expecting or what you were thinking. Attachments. This is similar to expectations, but attachments are when you have cords connected to other people, it can affect, again, your intuitive guidance. So that's why it's easier to do readings for people that you don't know or people that you're less emotionally connected to, because you don't have those psychic attachments and cords. But you can still do them. You just have to get into what I call a neutral, open space, and you can do that, and your intuition will come through. Old beliefs, this is one of the things that gets in the way. You know, if we have programming that says to be a spiritual person you have to do this, 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 and this, and you don't do it, then those beliefs are going to get in the way of having open communication with your guides. So you want to let all old beliefs get out of the way. They will limit your ability to tap in and tune into that guidance. If you have pain in your body, physical pain can interrupt intuitive guidance. So I would suggest that you get as comfortable as you can. You do what you can to deal with the pain. Other than taking drugs, pain medicines if they're prescribed and you absolutely need to take them in order to deal with the pain. Other than that, you want to send light to the area of pain. We did a meditation about seeing that dissolve into light, any kind of pain in the body. And move yourself aside from the pain so that your intuition is beyond and above the pain in the body. And certainly exhaustion. If your body has not had enough rest, it's harder to get intuitive guidance. Whenever I'm going to do readings, I always make sure I get a good night's sleep the night before and that I feel rested and ready. So these are all important factors for enhancing intuition and clearing out the factors that block intuition. Just want to review a couple of last week's tools and see if you've been using them. So one of them was the body cues. We talked about how you feel intuition in your body, those slight sensations, the opening, the closing, contraction, expanding, contraction, hot and cold, the flow of energy, the flow of movement through your body, and being in touch with that. So make sure that you're still tuning into your body for the intuition to come. The second thing is opening the third eye. And I gave you this exercise of starting in the center of your third eye, and then you're going to go up and over one eye and back to center. That's the middle of the 8. And up and over the other eye, and then back to center. And this opens the doorway between the left and the right brain so that you can receive intuitive guidance and you can process it both. So it's really important to do this exercise daily, and you can do it. I like to put on a little index card, a little figure 8 like that, and put it in my bathroom or put it in my bedroom, and whenever I see it, I remember to run my energy over this eye and around the other eye, and that's opening the doorway. It's sort of like if you have something that's tight, if you keep moving it, it loosens up, it gets more flexible. So that's what you're doing with that doorway. You're opening it up and allowing the intuition to come through more fully and easily. The grounding cord we worked with last time, remember we had the vision of the tree and sending down those roots down to the center of the earth. We also pictured a shaft of light going down. You want to work with the grounding cord every single day. Keep doing that, walking on the earth, and that's a wonderful place to practice the other figure 8, which is the I am one with all the love in the universe and I am rooted and grounded. The other tool that we discussed was the traffic light. Green is go, red is stop, no, and the yellow is use caution, perhaps not proceed, or get more information. So use these tools. They're not going to work, they're not going to help you if you don't use them. I'm just reviewing them so that you can remember them and use them. And the next tool was the body pendulum. Remember, that's where we move our body forward and back for yes, and side to side for no. And I want to give special credit to Robert Dubiel in his book, Body Signals, for that tool. He has a lot of wonderful tools about listening to the body cues, and that is on the book sheet. So running your energy and connecting up with universal love and rooted in groundedness, we talked about that, starting in the heart center, and then bringing your energy up and around, back into the heart, and then down into the center of the earth. So I am one with all the love in the universe. Into your heart, connect, and I am rooted and grounded, and doing that at least 3 times. The next tool that we did was the alternate nostril breathing. Remember, that was covering one nostril, breathing in for 10, holding, breathing out the other side, the right side, breathing in through the right, hold for 10, and out through the left. And doing that is 1 round, and you would do that 10 times. That would be 1 sequence, and that will help to relax your body. It will also open up the channel between the left and the right brain, and that will help you to access information. So all of these tools are going to help you in your day-to-day life with getting intuition. So today's class is integrating the parts of the self and aligning oneself to channel, putting all those different pieces and parts of yourself together so that all of you is in alignment with opening up to your psychic skills and abilities. If there's any part of yourself that's sort of hesitant or fearful or not quite on board, that can hold you back from accessing all of your intuition. So the parts of the self that we're going to be looking at today to integrate oneself are the physical, the spiritual, the emotional, the intellectual, and the free will. And we will be doing a guided meditation later on in this class session to integrate those parts. To integrate oneself to be more psychic, we want to join with something else or unite. That's the dictionary's term for integrate, to join with something else or unite. So what we're doing is we're uniting. You see this man, he's got the little angel and the little devil. The lower self is really your personal self that has certain desires and expectations and thoughts and agendas. The other self, more of your angelic self, your higher self, sort of that little angelic one, that's the one that's looking at the whole larger picture. That's why in that prayer of protection, we talk about lifting beyond Earth, lifting up and beyond Earth into areas of absolute truth. So that we're looking for that which is the highest and best frequency and vibration. So to align oneself to channel and to receive the very highest frequency, we want to adjust. So aligning is to adjust, to produce a proper relationship and orientation. If you have a 220 volt, you cannot put it into a 110 socket. It will not work. Your washer and dryer has a special line that it runs on. And for you, channeling your higher self, it's different than your day-to-day reality and your day-to-day awareness. You're tuning into a higher frequency and vibration. So you are upping your ampage, you are increasing your voltage, your wattage, basically, energetically. And that will make a difference in your world. So we're going to go through the channeling checklist. This is one of your handouts, and this is how I start with channeling. And it's very important that when we're channeling that we create a safe environment and that we prepare ourselves both on the inside and the outside. So we're going to start with lighting a candle, and I have a little candle right here. And a lighter, you can see. And when I light this candle, it tells me, myself, that it's time to go into the light, that's actually what I'm doing. It creates more of a sacred environment around me. So we put the candle there, and then have a glass of water. I actually have a whole bottle of water. I'm hoping each of you has water where you are, that you're drinking lots of water as you channel. Water does help the flow of information and energy. That you're sitting in a comfortable, quiet place. I'm sitting in a pretty comfortable, pretty quiet place. It sounds like the neighbor's parrot is being a little bit vocal right now. So his name is Maynard, and if Maynard starts screeching, we will shut the windows. But we're in Hawaii, and it's pretty warm here. Wear clothing that you can breathe freely and fully in. Again, I suggest cotton is very good for that. And I like to set a time limit for the sessions that I'm going to channel. The reason that I do that is because I like to go as deeply as possible and not have to worry about coming back out. So that gives me permission to really let go of the external, to go deep inside and to come back out. So we are going to do a little channeling exercise here, and I'm actually going to guide you through the channeling exercise that I'm doing so that you can follow the same procedure when you do this at home. 15 minutes. So we're going to do 15 minutes. So we're going to start with the thought box. And you remember during the first class we talked about the thought box, where you have a little box and you picture putting it under your chair. So wherever you're sitting, picture a box, beautiful box, however fancy you'd like to make it, and put it under your chair or behind you. And then put all your thoughts, all your expectations. This is also where you could put any body stuff that's going on. You could put that in the box. Just let it go. Okay. There we go. The next part is the infinity loop. That's the one where you connect in your heart, and you connect up with infinite love above. And I'm going to bring the top part of my loop up, connecting with infinite love, and I'm going to see a beautiful pink light up above, and I'm going to bring that pink universal love down into my heart, so that I'm getting out of my personal heart frequency and connecting with universal heart frequency, that universal love. Then I'm going to bring that love, that pink light, all the way down through my hip, and then connect down to the center of the earth. And I like to picture beautiful, big, huge crystal at the center of the earth, and I'm tapping into the energy of that crystal. And right now, today, that light is purple. It's different on different days. When you do the meditation, it may be different for you as well. So now I'm pulling up a beautiful purple light, and I'm bringing that into my heart. And this is the light of being rooted and grounded and safe and protected. So we want our bodies to feel safe and protected and rooted and grounded when we channel and when we're doing intuitive work. But particularly when we're inviting the guides and angels in, and we're stepping aside from our day-to-day reality and awareness. And then we're going to let these two energies blend. So I'm bringing that pink light from above, bringing it down into my heart. Feeling that, feeling every cell of my body being bathed in beautiful pink light. Then bringing that down to the center of the earth, connecting up with that purple light from below, bringing that up into the other part of the figure eight, and then seeing those two colors blend and that energy blend, so that I am one with all the love in the universe, and I am rooted and grounded, and I am one with all the love in the universe, and I am rooted and grounded, and I am one with all the love in the universe, and I am rooted and grounded. Sort of like when you drive, when you get in the car, you check your mirrors and you check your environment to make sure it's safe to back out, that it's safe to go. That's what we're doing when we're doing this channeling checklist. We're checking. Is it safe to go? So this picture here is actually from Doreen Virtue's Angel deck, Healing with the Angels, and Bruce Harmon, I want to give him credit for this beautiful, beautiful picture of guides. And I look at this picture and I immediately think of Hoya, my council of guides, who are very, very loving and very, very wise. And I'm just going to invite them in. So the way that I do that is I start with a prayer. I'm going to say the prayer that I got from Anne, my channeling teacher. And then I'm going to allow the energy of my guides to come in. And as I do that, you may notice that my breathing changes a little. I'm adjusting my frequency to that frequency. Now what it feels like to me is it feels like I go up and over, kind of in a little, almost like a little hammock is the feeling of relaxing. You know how a hammock holds you and supports you? But there's a little temple that I go to. And we talked about that inner temple the very first class. So I'm hoping you're working with your inner temple where you can go and connect. That's a good tool to use as well. All right, so I'm going to lead you through as much as I can talking, and then I will let my guides come in. I haven't practiced or prepared anything. I like to let my guides kind of run, you know, what needs to come through. They're going to know what each of you needs from all the different places that you are around the world right now. They will know. So I'm going to ask Priscilla, my assistant, to watch the time. We're going to do 15 minutes. Okay, so let's just start. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my feet flat on the floor, and I'm going to let my spine be nice and straight. That helps the energy to flow in and out very smoothly. I'm going to check my body. I'm noticing the headphone feels a little tight, but it's workable. I did radio for many years, so I'm kind of used to the headphone. Just going to check the environment. The room is filled with light. Always want to start with the room being filled with light. I'm going to fill my own body with light. Beautiful, bright, white love light. Until I feel that every cell of my being is vibrating with light. Excuse me. Alrighty, going to get a little water. Birds are singing outside. I'm hoping you can hear their beautiful song. Sometimes I rock my body a little bit back and forth, and what I'm doing is I'm coming to center. You may not do this, but you want to listen to your guides, your higher self. What do you need to do to get really comfortable and really relax? So I find I channel best sitting up. When I lay down, I tend to fall asleep. So that's what works for me. When I first started channeling, I started with my hands open, palms open like this, in a receptive open place. I actually now channel with my hands closed, that I go more into a deeper inner space. So feel what feels right for you. Does it feel better to have your hands open or your hands closed? Does it feel better to have your feet apart or together? Tune into your own body. All right. So now the room is filled with light. My heart is filled with light. And then what I like to do is, before I start, I like to send out what I picture to be a rainbow, a big rainbow bridge of light. So I'm now sending multiple rainbows from all around, from all the different places that you are around the world right now. I'm sending a bridge of rainbow love to your heart. Whenever I'm doing psychic work, particularly if I'm doing sessions for other people, I always want to be in a place of unconditional love and openness. And when I create this rainbow bridge of love, it connects my heart with your heart. And how grateful I am for you here today. All right, so here comes the rainbow bridge of love. And if you want to send a rainbow back to me, that would be appreciated. When we do that, we're closing the dimension of time and space, and we're entering into an alternate dimension, which is beyond time and space, which is really the realm of the invisible helpers and guides and our higher selves. Not locked into this third dimensional reality. Alrighty, so now I'm going to start with the prayer. Beloved Mother, Father God, Infinite Spirit, we come to you in love. We ask to be filled, surrounded, and protected by the light of the Holy Spirit. We ask to lift beyond earth in 2 areas of absolute truth. We ask that that which is most needed by these souls be brought forth in this time. I ask to be a clear channel for God's love, light, truth, healing, and blessing. We stand believing. Thank you, Mother, Father, God, Infinite Spirit. Greetings to you, beloved ones. It is with much, much joy that we do come to in this time. And so as we are looking at you energetically, we see all these beautiful shining faces. And we see the faces of little babies, that sort of open readiness, that wide-eyed willingness, that excitement about being alive, that place where there is wholeness, where there is completeness, where there is nothing missing, nothing forgotten, nothing to strive for, nothing to do. It is a place of divinity. It is a place of the integrated self. It is a place of oneness. And from this place of oneness, this is where your intuition does come. It comes from your most perfect, whole, innocent self. You were born this way. And so in life, sometimes you forget that you have magic within you. You forget that you have light as the core center of your being, and you start thinking you are this body, you are this personality, you are this hair color, or this way of being in the world. I am extrovert, I am introvert, I am intellectual, I am whatever it is that you are thinking that you are. You are so much more than all of that. And your soul remembers. Your soul is more massive than the most intricate computer that you could even begin to imagine, in terms of the processing ability, in terms of the remembering ability, in terms of the storage ability of all the lessons that you have ever acquired from any experience in any realm or any dimension. It is beyond what the mind can comprehend. Just as it is beyond, the mind cannot comprehend how, if you say how many millions, billions of stars are in the sky, the mind can still not compute it, because it is not in that capacity, it is not in that ability. But the soul understands about infinity. The soul understands about divinity. The soul understands about the wholeness of being. And the soul never questions this. So part of developing your psychic abilities is reclaiming your innate intuitive abilities that may have been a bit interrupted or disconnected, or even warped in some ways that you were trained not to listen. So you come back into a reintegration of your wholeness. You come back into a reintegration of all of your senses, your 5 physical senses and your 6th sense, which is the intuitive knowing, which is naturally there. So when you look at a baby, let's say a baby of about 3 months old, where the mind is still, it's in this stage of development, but the baby is beginning to emerge in their personality self, and they have learned that if they smile, that you as an adult will smile back at them. How many of you could not smile at a 3-month-old baby? You would smile. So the baby learns if they smile, they get smiled back at. But before that, the baby was in what we call the no ego place, the no mind place. It became one with everything. The baby was one with the bed it was in, one with the person. There was no sense of separation of you and them. And when you come into your intuitive self, that is the place you enter into. So the information is stored on a level of oneness. So if you are trying to get guidance about a certain business or a certain investment or health issue or relationship, you are going above the personal level and connecting with universal wisdom. From this place of universal wisdom, which is infinite cache of storage of information, you speak a person's name and it calls forth the vibration of their history. You speak a business's name and it calls forth again that vibration. So what you are doing is you are learning to focus and to tune in. But first you must believe that you are already tuned in, and it's a matter of remembering that you can get out of your personal self, that you can get out of your mind, limited mind, into unlimited consciousness. In India, the people are raised with a sense of the spiritual in nature. It is in all of the ceremonies, in all of the prayers, in all of the day-to-day types of experiences. Bali is also like this. But in other countries, sometimes there is the forgetfulness of the spiritual nature and the focus on the material nature. And then you have to work to come back into that place of stillness. So yoga is the practice of training the mind and the body. So intuition is the practice of opening, reopening, retuning, getting back to that frequency of infinite wisdom and allowing that to be the guiding force in your life. So if in any way you are having trouble listening to our intuition, let your body become more flexible. Let your mind become more flexible. Notice your thoughts. Are you a controlling kind of a person? Do you tend to want everything your way when you want it? And you have difficulty accepting change in agenda or accepting little life's imperfections? That will block your intuition. So instead, let go. Let go. Think about if somebody was jumping out of a plane and they had a parachute and they did not pull the string, they just would land very hard upon the ground. But if they pull the parachute string, then they get to float down to the earth. And your intuition is like that. It's there to give you an easy ride in life, that you don't have to struggle and you don't have to work towards it. So it's coming back into your innate nature, which is consciousness. Consciousness is your nature. You are reclaiming your inner nature. And you do this through training. And that is why meditation is very important when you are reclaiming your nature. That you are focusing and stilling and letting go of all the external, going within, activating, as we said, the pineal gland, bringing into balance all of the systems so that all systems are go. When you have a spaceship, let's say the space shuttle, it is going to go off into the world, it is going to go past the atmosphere and out into space. It has to accelerate to a certain level or it will not be able to get past the atmosphere. It will burn, it will crash, it will get off course. And that is somewhat what happens when people don't increase their frequency through positive thought, through being around positive people, healthy foods, positive diet, resting, meditation, staying away from drugs and alcohol. What happens is their frequency and their vibration becomes lower and they cannot accelerate out of this third dimensional reality into the other realms, which are right here. It feels as though you're going up and out, but actually they are all right here, right now. Simultaneously. It is a matter of tuning in. So what happens is you get stuck into this day-to-day almost robotic motion of your life when there's this whole other realm. Just like in space, there are all these other planets to discover. There are all these other universes, not just planets but universes to discover. There are this many universes within yourself. When you accelerate your vibration, when you move yourself into a place of light. Any question that you have, bring it into the light first. Picture a bright light. There is wisdom in the light, and the light will reveal your answers. You are a being of light. That is your truest nature. You are a being of love. So whenever you are feeling fear or doubt or stress, you are forgetting your truest nature. So when you forget, try to be around people that will help to remind you, that will not just buy into your drama of life and into the poor me story, that sort of victimhood of life. That brings your energy down, and it makes it harder for you to lift your vibration up to get that truest guidance, to get the answers, to find the right person to fund your project, to find the right car that you're looking to buy, to find the right whatever it is that you are looking for. You move beyond this third dimensional reality, and suddenly the answers become clear. So it's about fine-tuning. You are developing a relationship with your higher self, and relationships take time, and they take energy, and they take effort. They take commitment. Commitment is very important on your spiritual path, that if it does get tough, you stay in there. You discipline yourself to do the meditation, even if you are not feeling like it that day, because it will pay off. It's like putting money into a piggy bank. Eventually you get a very big cash flow because you're taking the time to put it in. So that is part of what you are wanting to do, is take the time to put the energy and the consciousness into your higher self. So this relationship will grow and it will build. The more time that you spend in connecting with your higher self, the more payoff you will get in terms of your ability to access the information moment by moment in your life. Moment by moment. Is it in my highest and best interest to go to dinner with so-and-so? Is it in my highest and best interest to take this trip? You will automatically move into that realm of looking at it from the larger perspective. The higher self looks at things from a fearless place, not a fearful place. So if there is any fear coming up, that is usually from a limited perspective, and we would ask you to please review in your life what that fear is and where it is coming from, so that you can move beyond that. So in this day, we wish to bless each and every one of you on your path of opening to your guides, to your divine higher self. Know that you have much invisible help available. You have loved ones, you have ascended master teachers, you have all of the work that you have done in many other existences and dimensions. That is all there, capable and available for you in this time. That you are on your most perfect path in this time. We do bless you. We fill you with light. We honor you. Be well. May you walk in love. May you know peace. Namaste. Alrighty, so we got a little message from the guides, and I just want to talk about how I disconnect from the guides. One of the things we did in our last class was disconnecting at the end, putting the arms together like this, two together, and creating a circle of energy, and then putting fingertips together. And I also ask my guides to lift up and out of my body to the edge of my aura, and then right up to the top of the room, lifting up. And then when I breathe, in order to breathe my personality self back in, I work with the breath and I work with the grounding cord. So I'm now sending a grounding cord down to the center of the earth to be rooted and grounded, because that's a lot of energy to connect with, and I have to disconnect so that I can be present in this moment in time, in this realm. So I begin noticing the sounds that are around me. I'm noticing the birds, I'm noticing the light, I'm noticing the headphone on my head, and I hadn't even felt that when I was doing the channeling at all. So I'm noticing, again, the physical body. I'm feeling where I'm sitting in the chair. I'm feeling the breath in the body, especially feeling the breath in the body. This is such an important tool, is just your breath. I mean, how simple is that? You don't need anything. You have it right here. This body, this vehicle, is the seat of your intuition and all of your knowing. Alrighty, so we're going to move on. So we're going to talk about the benefits of integrating the parts of the self. When your whole self is really on board and committed to receiving psychic information and guidance day to day, moment by moment, there's a strength in yourself. There is an alignment. There's a sense of being connected, and you are much more stronger, more committed, and in tune. And you'll see it in your decisions. You'll just know it. You will intuitively know the answers to situations and questions and problems that may have been really, confusing you before. Your fears are uncovered. When you're aligning with yourself, you get in touch with the fears, and you work with healing them. So sometimes these fears may be from past lives. They may be from experiences early on when you were a child. They may be from things that you've heard or things that you've seen. But what we're going to do is we work with healing any kind of fears. And then you create more space for your divine higher self. You can see in this picture, it's sort of like a very cluttery area. It's hard to have room. There's not much room to move or to feel or to be. But when you take all that clutter out, which is when we're taking the fears out, when we're taking the expectations out, when we're transmuting all the old belief systems, we become open. Have you ever walked into somebody's garage right after they cleaned it and it looks so good and it feels so good? Or your car when you clean it, or your home? That's what happens when we clear the mind. It becomes very welcoming. So we will be tuning into the invisible realms of the self. We're going to do a little psychic tool now. I like to throw these in as we're doing the lecture so that you have more tools to work with. So the picture has the hands together like this, but I'd like you to actually separate your hands so they look like this. Two hands that are separated and in front of your lap. So I'm going to move them down in front of my lap. You can't see them, but you can imagine. So you have your hands open, and they're about 6 inches apart, And I want you to ask your higher self. You're going to have, one hand is going to be yes and one hand is going to be no. So it's up to you which hand is left. Your left hand can be no, your right hand can be yes, or either way. It'll be different for different people, but I want you to right now ask your higher self which hand is going to be yes and which hand is going to be no. So just focus on your left hand and ask, is this your yes hand or your no hand, and see if you feel any energy with the yes or no. So get a sense of that. Is this your left hand, yes or no? Now take your right hand and see if it feels like a yes or a no. Which is that? So now I'm getting left is no and right is yes. You may get it backwards. It's up to you. But what you want to definitely designate, like for me, this left hand is no and my right hand is yes. That's how it feels for me. Feel how it feels for you. And then work with your guides and say, okay, if the answer is no, I want to feel like a heaviness. So for me, my left hand is no. So I want to feel a heaviness in my hand. I actually want to feel my hand. Let's see if I can get it in front of the screen. I want to feel my hand getting heavy and going down. If the answer is no, I want to feel like no. It's like they're saying no, and they're pushing my hand down. That's what it's going to feel like. And if the answer is yes, I want to feel like a heaviness, as though my guides are putting their hand in my hand and pushing my hand down. Pushing my hand down. So I'm not bringing my hands down. My hands are actually just going down because my guides, it's as though they're saying no, yes. Okay? So we're going to work with that. So just shake your hands out for a minute. Just shake your hands out, and then I want you to rub your hands together to activate the hand chakras so you're more sensitive. All right. Nice, clear hands. We're going to call on our higher self. Higher self would now like to program our hands. Remember which hand is which. Feel the no, feel the yes. Okay, so from that place, I want you to go in your heart now. And I want you to think of a question or concern or an issue that has just been, again, going around and around. It can be a big issue, it can be a little issue. But it's something that you just can't seem to find the right answer to. And then I want you to put your hands up in that nice open way where they're about 6 inches apart. I like to hold them in front of my, kind of in front of my stomach. I like to put my feet flat on the floor when I'm doing this exercise. And now I'm going to ask, remember when you're wording your question, you can say, is it in my highest and best interest too? And that helps. And you want to word it as a yes or no question. All right. So think of your question. I'm going to give you a minute to think of your question. And then ask. And then feel the answer. Okay. Now you should it'll feel a definite, like I can really feel this. And my right hand just went, got really heavy. So that's a yes for me because my right hand was yes. It might be different for you. But feel that. Feel which one. You got it? Did you get it? Okay. Good. All right. So you can use that little tool in your life when you're really feeling confused. Your body knows. It's using your body wisdom. So with opening to our intuitive guidance, we want to work with trust, trusting that any fears that we have are valid and that they're there to be understood. So when we do the meditation, we want to trust that the information that we need is going to come. And that any information, if there's any fears at all, that they can be transmuted and we can open up. And we want to open to the communication is the key to unlocking any fear and resolving it. So sometimes we might even want to have like a little conversation. Some common fears that people tell me when they're interested in opening to their channeling is, how do I know if it's accurate? How do I know if it's accurate is probably one of the biggest. And another fear is, how do I not take responsibility for the other person? If you happen to be sharing something, you're afraid that maybe the person will make a decision in their life that will affect them, and you don't want to take that on energetically. So we want to look at and we're getting a little feedback here about that exercise. So this is about trusting. So in this exercise, one of the participants said that that their hand wanted to go up. The yes hand wanted to go up, like, yay, yes! And the no hand wanted to go down. So that's cool. That's fine. You can adjust this and adapt it. Your body is your tool, and it can be used in many different ways. I'm presenting it in one way, and you can adapt. So thank you for that feedback. That's great. Speaking the truth with love, we want to pay attention to what we're saying in our lives. Sometimes we edit what we're saying. And instead of editing what we're saying, we want to say what we want to say with love, but we want to be willing to be courageous and to speak the truth. And that is important as a psychic, because you may get messages for people that might be a little bit hard for them to hear, but on a personality level, but on a soul level, their soul absolutely wants them to hear it. This is, I've done readings for many, many years, and over the years, people have come with numbers of issues, everything from addictions to past resentments and hurts to fears about relationships, financial woes. So we want to be able to have the person feel when they're coming to you for a session, or when you're looking at these areas of your life, that you're transparent, that there's an openness and a willingness to look. So we also want to notice how you say what you need to express in life, because that will make a difference in how you say what you need to express with practicing speaking the truth. And you want to always scan your body for cues. So sometimes I know I have to say something when I start getting kind of a fluttery feeling in my stomach. It's like, oh, I don't want to say this, but I really need to speak up. I have to speak my truth in a loving and kind and compassionate way. And to not point a finger, because when you point a finger, there's always three fingers pointing back, but to do it in a way of sharing information that hopefully will be helpful. I wanted to give you another psychic tool, because I really want you to have tools that you can practice with, because as I said, with psychic ability and channeling, if you don't practice, you're not going to get better. And so you have to use these tools that I'm giving you. Review this. You can review this video whenever you like, And you can come back and you can practice these tools or write them down. You should each have a journal near you where you're writing down some of these tools. So this next tool is actually courtesy of Savarna Wiley, and this is a tool for releasing fear. So I would like each of you to just think for a moment of something that you're afraid of, something that maybe you have a big exam coming up, or you have some sort of a situation that's pushing you to move past your comfort zone, and there's some fear associated with that. So just for right now, let's tune into your untogether self. Your untogether self is that part of you that comes up with doubts and questions and limitations and all of those types of things. So I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to tune into your body. And I want you to just feel where the fear is located in the body. And as you tune in, I want you to get a sense of, is it in my jaw? Is it in my tummy? Is it in my head? Is it in my limbs, my body? Is it in my back? Are you feeling an energy in your back? Is it in your breath? The truth is, we all carry fears, and a lot of times we're in denial about them, and a lot of times we're managing them pretty well. But usually on some level there are some fears, unless you're a totally conscious and awakened being. And hooray for those. But for those of us that are still on our path unfolding and opening, usually there are still a few. Even if you have a cold and you're thinking, am I going to get better so I can do my work tomorrow? Whatever it could be. Just feel that in your body. Feel where it is. Now give it a color and a shape. Feel it. See what color it is. See what shape it is. Like for example, right now I'm seeing like a kind of a dark energy around my mouth, sort of in the TMJ area, sort of a clenching of the jaw. So there's some kind of a fear there that's holding. And it's a dark, almost a dark indigo blue. So now what I'm going to do, and I'm going to invite each of you, is to take that color and that shape, and it sort of looked like on the digger machines with the big teeth, big metal teeth. That's what it looked like in terms of the energy, very jagged energy. So now I'm going to take that shape and that color, and I'm going to put it out in front of me, like right about here in front of me. And I'm going to see how big it is. Get a sense of how big your fear is. If it's a little fear, it might be small. This particular fear is pretty small, about the size of my fist, but sometimes fears are huge, and they're really big energetically. So I want you to put it out in front of you, and just look at it. Just look at it from there. And then I want you to just talk to the fear for a minute and say, you know, fear, you've been holding me back. And now that you're out here and you're not in my physical body, I want you to know that it's time for me to release you. It's time for me to let you go. So then envision this fear, see the shape and the size and the color, and see it moving just like in this picture. It's moving out towards the horizon, to that light on the horizon, and just see it just as you wish it, so it is, and it moves out across the ocean to the horizon. And see that bright light on the horizon. It's like a sun. See this fear explode and blow up into light. Just completely transmute into light. And let it go. And you don't even really have to know the origin of the fear. You just have to know that energetically it's held in the body. It was held in the body. And then as you explode it into light, you can see all your angels and guides celebrating and transmuting, and then sending from that beautiful pure light love back into your heart and filling that space. So for me, it's filling the jaw area with light, filling the whole mouth and jaw area with beautiful white love light, and coming back into that place of wholeness and essence. All right. So you can do that with big fears and little fears. Sometimes some of the littlest fears are what hold us back, you know? I mean, it doesn't have to be a great, big, huge fear. It can be just the tiniest one, and it holds you back from your next step in life, or it holds you back from your intuitive self. So we are going to do a meditation, and it is called, it's going to be a guided meditation for integrating the parts of the self. And so I'm just going to guide you through that right now. So I want you to get comfortable. I'm going to turn a little music on. I like to have a little music in the background when I'm meditating. Let's see if we can get that volume up a little bit. Oh, not this one. Well, all right, we'll go with that. Okay. So let yourself get comfortable. And I want you to pat yourself on the back. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to go within. Thank you for loving yourself enough to wanting to integrate your whole self to your intuitive self. So it's going to be kind of a shorter meditation, about 15 to 20 minutes. So I'd like you to go into your heart, that beautiful place inside, your heart light, and see your heart vibrating with love, a pulsing love, like that, pulsing love, beautiful heart light vibrating. And just feel that love. And within your divine self are all your answers. So we're going to take a little journey inside. And as you journey inside, just let go of the external reality. Let any sounds that you hear bring you deeper and deeper inside. Allow your body to relax, taking a nice full deep breath in. I like to imagine that I'm breathing in peace and breathing out any tension or tightness, just letting it go. Breathing in peace and breathing out any tightness. Now I want you to go to that sacred inner temple that you have within your heart. So picture in your mind's eye a beautiful place where you like to meditate. It could be a place you've been to in nature, or a place you've seen in a picture, a book, a place you imagine, but it's a place where you feel very, very safe. A place where you can let go of the day-to-day concerns of the world and center in. I like to visualize a little temple with sacred objects all around, and candles and incense and flowers. And as I sit in this special sacred temple, I feel my connection to my soul, to that peaceful part of me that has nowhere to go and nothing to do other than to just be and relax. And now picture a shaft of light coming from above, beautiful bright white love light, and coming through your crown of your head and into your body and all the way down to your feet, so that you are filled with infinite light and love. See yourself surrounded by light, and know that nothing but light can come here and nothing but light can be here, and so it is. And just give a special call out to our angels and guides and master teachers, especially Archangel Michael. We're calling on him to protect the space. We're going to take a little inner journey. So So just relax and let go and allow your higher self to guide you into the inner realms of your being. If you've ever been to Disneyland or Disney World, there's this one ride and it's called It's a Small World After All. It's a kid's ride, but you sit in a little boat and the boat just takes you and you just get to view it. And it's really a fun ride, and that's what I want you to imagine, that you're taking a little boat into your inner world and you can just relax. You can even maybe hear that song, It's a Small World. It's a small world after all. Going inside to the inner world, to the inner realm, to the inner dimensions. The dimensions of light and love. And as we take this little journey, I want you to join me in this little boat that's traveling down a sweet lazy river. Sweet little lazy river, relaxing and letting go. And the first, just as in the It's a Small World, and if you haven't been there, I want to invite you to just imagine that you're on a little boat ride and you're coming up to different scenes. And we're coming through a forest. And we're in a nice meandering river. And the first scene that we come to is a forest. The boat stops and you get out. And you enter a path and walk down the path in the forest. And you find a wonderful log to sit on. It's very comfortable and cozy. And you sit on the log and you relax. And just let go. And as you sit on the log, you hear footsteps coming up to you. And this is your embodiment of your physical self. Your physical self is joining you for a little meeting. So see what your physical self looks like. This is the part of you that runs your physical energy, that's vital. It's the part of you that actually is the vehicle for channeling these higher frequencies. So envision your physical self sitting down next to you and see what your physical self looks like. Do you look hardy? Do you look strong? What does your physical body look like? Take it in. And your physical self has come because it wishes to talk to you about this intuitive path that you are on, this opening. And it has some concerns about how this energy is going to affect your actual physical life, which is the things that you do in life, which is the things that you eat, the way that you sleep, your patterns, all of your ways of taking care of yourself. So, for a moment, allow your consciousness to shift into your physical being and let your physical being express to you what it is that you need to know and to consider about this business of opening up to your intuitive self, because there may be some concerns. For example, when I first started opening to my divine higher self and channeling, I was somewhat concerned that I would go so deep that I wouldn't come out and be able to tend to my day-to-day tasks and abilities. So I had to have this conversation with my physical self and say, okay, body, I'm going to let you go very, very deep, but when it's time to come out, I have to come out and be conscious and aware and ready to deal at that time with my children and my life, my job. And I wanted the frequency of working in this intuitive realm to actually increase my energy level rather than to decrease my energy level. So my physical self had some concerns. If I open to this intuition, am I going to be able to handle the frequency? Am I going to be able to have the energy that I need? Am I going to need to change my diet so that I can bring in this higher vibrational frequency? Sometimes when people are adapting to their intuitive self, they do need to change their diet, or they do need to rest more, or they do need to ground more, or eat different, drink more water. So ask your physical self if it has any fears and what they are. And I'm hoping each of you has your journal near you so you can just write that down, what it is. So I got a message from my physical self, which I wasn't aware of, and that's very insightful. So I'm going to take a note of that. I'm actually going to, jot that down and take a note so that I can remember later what that is. And now I want to reach out my hand to my physical self. And I want to ask my physical self, please will you join me on this opening to channel? Will you join me on this being more intuitive? Will you work with me? Can you get on board so that we can be the most clear, precise, powerful, open, helpful, psychic, and channel that this particular vehicle can possibly be? And when you get a yes from your physical self, thank that part of you. Give it a hug. And let that part know that you're going to do everything you can to adapt whatever it is that they ask that you need to adapt. Their concern or their fear, that you're going to look at that and you're going to work with it. And you're going to shift that energy so that you can be an open vehicle and vessel. All right. So now as we're sitting here in this beautiful quiet forest on the little log, we hear some more footsteps. And this is your intellectual self, your emotional self coming to join you. Now your emotional self, this is sort of the feeling part of you, the very strong feeling part of you. And when your emotional self is very centered, you feel very sparkly and alive and bright. Sort of almost the inner child part of you. So see what your emotional self looks like. And see if your emotional self, how your emotional self is feeling. Look at the way that your emotional self represents itself to you. What does it look like, your emotional self? Is it happy? Is it sad? Is it frightened? Is it mad? Is it tired? What is your emotional self like? And just invite this part of you to come near and to sit down at this meeting of the different parts of yourself. And just welcome this part. Hi, emotional self. Thank you for being here. And I'm going to be opening more and more to my psychic abilities and gifts and channeling, and I'm wondering how you feel about that. And look at your emotional self and see what the first body reaction is. Is your emotional self like arms over, arms open, smile, mad? What's the reaction? What does your emotional self feel? Because there may be some questions or concerns that your emotional part of your being has. So when your emotional self is strong and centered and connected, you shine like the most brilliant diamond in the sunlight. But when your emotional self is a little bit off, if there's issues from childhood, sometimes our emotional self may have issues related to being the boss and not having anyone be boss over you. There may be issues about control. There may be issues about fear. So just tune into your emotional self and ask what it is that that part needs or wants. And ask your emotional self to get on board with your channeling and your intuitive work. Give it a hug and a handshake and let that part know you're going to do everything you can to bring that a feeling of safety so that your emotional self can be on board with you. Perhaps your emotional self is wondering if you're going to have time for him or her to play, to express, to be creative. Feel that. Feel into it. And then invite that part of you to sit and join this beautiful circle that's growing. We're now going to invite our intellectual self. This is the part of you, that thinking, left linear, processing part of you, that we want to get this part on board for channeling and intuitive work, because the intellectual self, it doesn't have to be a hindrance once it's in alignment with the intuition. It can actually help. All the information, every book you've ever read, every seminar you've ever attended, every workshop, all that information can be used and can be accessed. And it can be available to help those that you're working with, and to help you in your own guidance as well. That can act to augment the intuitive information, but it has to be in alignment. So just see your intellectual self and see what your intellectual self looks like. how it's presenting itself to you right now in this beautiful forest. And invite that part of you to come and sit down and feel that. Hi, intellectual self. Very honored to have you here. How are you? And ask your intellectual self, how are you feeling about me opening to my intuition and opening more to guides and angels and loved ones? And see what the response is from your intellectual self. Really feel it. Is there anything your intellectual self wants from you, or any adjustment or adaptation that you need to make in order to make this part of you more comfortable with this process? Perhaps there's some books that they want you to read, or some background information, or some research that would make this part feel a little more comfortable. And then ask this part of yourself, please join us. Can you get on board? Can you get in the boat with us? To be an open and clear channel and psychic. Can you work with us together as a team? You get a yes, and you get that yes. And if for some reason you didn't get a full yes, this is work that you're going to go back to and work with. Communicating, what do you want, what do you need, how can I help you? Okay? Good. Okay. So the next is the spiritual self. The spiritual self is tuning into thy will, not my will, moving outside the old program ways of being, and developing an attitude of it's easy to tune into spirit. So I want you to picture, what does your spiritual self, if she or he was in a certain attire, what would that part of you look like? What would that part be wearing? Does it come as a power animal? Does it come as a color? Does it come as a certain picture? Your spiritual self. What is your spiritual self? How is it represented to you right now? And invite that part to come and join you in this meeting in the forest, the nice quiet forest, that peaceful, serene place in your mind's eye. And let your spiritual self know that you're opening as much as is possible to your divine inner guidance, and you would appreciate their help and support in this way. And ask if there's any questions or concerns that they have about you opening to your intuition, that they can help you with, that they can guide you with, that they can support you with. Perhaps there's a certain teacher or practice or program or something that can help to augment this process for you. And ask right now, what do they want and what do they need, and what would they like for you to do to help get more on board and more open. Sometimes they're going to have you look at some of the emotional areas of yourself. Like they might suggest that you go to therapy, or they might suggest that you do some sort of yoga class to get your body more flexible so that your mind will open. Your spiritual self is going to help these other areas, the intellectual self, the physical self, and the emotional self to open. So really listen to this guidance that's coming. Again, and try to jot it down. Did you get that? Okay, I got mine. Alrighty. And the next part is free will. I love this picture of the monkey hanging from the tree. Monkeys are so spontaneous and wild and crazy, and there's a part of you that's what I call the free will part. So see that free will part coming up to this meeting of all the intellectual, physical, emotional, and spiritual parts of yourself. This is your free will part. What does he or she look like? How are they presenting to you? How do they move? What's their energy like? Your free will part. The free will part wants to defy convention and rules and be a little radical or out of the box. But we want this part on board for opening to intuition, to opening to channel, because it takes a certain amount of discipline to do that and to develop your intuition. So we really want to get this part on board. So let's ask free will, what do you want, what do you need from me, from yourself, to be the best psychic that you can be, so that they can get on board. Is there any concern that they have? And listen deep inside. Okay, and then jot down the guidance and let this part know that you hear them, that you honor them, that you respect their perspective, and that you are willing to make any adaptation or change that may be necessary so that this part can feel really comfortable and really get on board. Because if this part's not on board, they will jam out your psychic ability. They will definitely sabotage your sessions. You really want this part on board. So get so that there's a yes, there's a hug. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Feel that integration. So now what I'd like you to do is I want you have all those notes in your journal. So these are messages that are important for you that you're going to be working with. That will be part of your homework assignment between now and the next time we meet. So now in this circle, I want you to envision each part of yourself holding hands and together. Feel the strength of all the parts of yourself, your emotional self, your intellectual self, your physical self, your spiritual self, your free will self, your divine consciousness self, all together, working in unison and harmony to open. And then we'll just picture for a minute getting back in that boat, leaving our other parts of ourself and letting them all just journey back into the forest. And you're getting back into the boat, and we're going to go back down that lazy river very comfortably and quietly, back into this time and this space, back into that special place in your consciousness, and coming back into this present moment and carrying with you a feeling of refreshment, a feeling of, aha, now I understand, and ready to move forth in life in an integrated fashion with your intuition. So, I want to recommend this book by Robert Duviel. It's Body Signals, and I would like you to work with this book with getting information. And you can see the hand that's there, that each finger can represent a different part or area of life to tune into. I'd like you to work with your hand, and you don't have to follow Robert's suggestion for each finger, but between this week and next week, I want you to work with the guidance in your left hand, that each finger, the little finger, let's get it in front of them.
They can see it better.
The middle finger, the tall finger, the pointer finger, and the thumb, that each one of these represents an area of life. Okay. So you can see on this slide that it has the hand in the different areas. And that's what I would like for you to work with as well. To pick out one finger, and each finger needs something else, so you'll feel a vibration or a tingling or a sensation, so that when you're working with intuitive guidance, if somebody comes to you for a session and all of a sudden your ring finger starts vibrating, that will mean that there's a relationship issue. If one of your other fingers, let's say your thumb, is vibrating, that would be something having to do with the emotions. And usually it's thumbs up is joy and thumbs down is anger, that there's some issues, some unresolved emotional issues. Then we have finances with the first finger, and these don't have to be this way. You can integrate them in any way that works for you. This is just a suggestion. But I would like you to work with your body cues with this. So in meditation, ask your body for these signs. The next exercise is an inner child exercise, and this is because our inner child is the seat of our intuition. I mean, children are intuitive. It's without a doubt. That's where before we're cut off. So I want you to periodically throughout the week ask your inner child, that part of you that is spontaneous, creative, magical, open. What do you want and what do you need? And when the inner child doesn't get what it wants and needs, it gets very, think about children. If a kid really, really wants a piece of candy or really, really wants to go outside and you say no and they start screaming, that's what your inner child will do. And your inner child will sabotage you opening up to your intuition if their wants and needs are not taken care of. So the inner child wants time to play. The inner child wants time to rest. Think about children are happiest when they're well fed, when they have friends, right? So if you're not taking care of your social needs and you feel lonely, your inner child's not going to be happy. You might need to incorporate more spiritual support and friends around you. If your inner child is too tired, they're going to get real grouchy and they will definitely sabotage your intuitive work. And if your inner child is feeling the physical needs, like they're actually really hungry, or they're really hot, or they're uncomfortable, you have to take care of those physical needs first and the emotional needs. And then your inner child is more ready, and you want to ask your inner child to be aligned with you, to work with your intuition, because they will be your greatest asset and ally. So watch your inner child through the week. How are you feeling? If you're feeling happy and healthy and whole, that's a good place to get your intuition from. This particular meditation tool is working with a candle, and I have a candle here. It's in a little glass container, but it's almost better to have a candle like the one in the picture that you can see, because you can focus on the flame. This is going to develop your ability to focus so that when you get intuitive guidance and information, you can read it. It's very, very clear. So this is a meditation tool. I would like you to each work for 10 minutes, at least every other day, doing this meditation practice where you're looking at a candle flame and all of your attention is going to the flame. Whenever you find yourself thinking of anything else, thinking of the wick or the body of the candle or the energy, the light, the surroundings, bring your attention back to the flame and focus in as clearly and as closely as you can. This is for another psychic tool for tuning into people's energy. I want you to look for the feeling underneath what the words are, and you can do this really easily. Just listen, and instead of thinking about what you're going to say to what that person's saying, feel what they're feeling. Okay? Feel for the feelings. And I want you to work with some affirmations of training our thoughts. And I'd like you to come back and review these, and you might want to write these down into a journal. I trust myself. I trust the universe. I am a clear channel for infinite wisdom and love. My mind is clear and my heart is open. I believe in intuition. I receive clear and loving guidance from my higher self and guides. I gratefully and joyously accept my gift of intuitive knowing. Every day in every way, my intuition is getting stronger and clearer. I love being connected to my intuitive self. I consciously choose to listen to my intuition. I act on the clear guidance. I receive knowing I am in the hands of a loving universe. I receive knowing. I trust my spirit. I relax into a place deep inside and listen for the voice within to guide me. So I'd like you to choose 3 of this very long list of affirmations, memorize them, and use them every single day. That's part of your homework. So we're going to review the homework. So we're going to practice noticing which part of yourself is responding in any given situation. Is it your intellectual self, your emotional self, your physical self, your spiritual self, your inner child? Who's responding in this moment? How are you responding? And just pay attention, because you want to respond from your divine higher self, which is unconditional love. I want you to practice your journaling. I'd like you to start listening to your dreams and see if any information comes through from your dream work, and just writing about your process. I'd like you to practice meditating every day, doing the candle meditation and some of these other tools I've given you. I also have a channeling meditation on my website, which is free, that you can click on, the 29-minute meditation, to practice that as well. I'd like you to walk every day. This is just a reminder. And drink lots and lots of extra water and practice your affirmations. So today, in summary, we covered more psychic tools. Remember, you can't keep them in the bag. You got to take them out and use them. We reviewed the channeling checklist as I went into the trance state. We did the meditation, the guided meditation on integrating the parts of the self, and you may need to work with that even more in the coming days. You may have uncovered some issues or parts of the self that you want to really get on board for you opening to your intuition. And you need to practice your homework. If you haven't done the homework from the previous weeks, please review those webinars and do those practices as well. Next week, we're going to be talking about past and future selves in those other dimensions and how that affects our ability to open to our intuitive selves. I want to thank you, each and every one of you from all around the world, wherever you are, for participating in this webinar. I do bless you and fill you with love and light. Namaste.